Here's another long overdue update on things that have been happening the last couple weeks around here. And since I didn't make one yet, I figured I'll make a quick update on the last race that we were in, which was over 2 weeks ago. That was on June 21st. It's actually July 6th now. This is the day after the Merrill Downey, which we went to last night. It was a great show. The track looked amazing by the end of the night. It was just glossy from wall to tires, nice and smooth. Probably the best I've seen all year. A little bit dusty, but that's to be expected with the continuous 90-degree days that we've had lately. But I'll back up here a little bit and recap that race that we had on the 21st of last month. We went out there and they had watered the track pretty heavily, so the track was real soft and real wet and heavy, and that's usually how I like to race it. Cars that have a little bit more power tend to do better in that kind of situation, or when you drive like me with a little too heavy of a throttle foot, it's easier to slide the cars around in that stuff. I can't remember how my qualifying went, but I started second row outside in heat 1, and Alex started second row inside in heat number 2. And I thought for sure I'd end up finishing third because I had both Jesse and Landon in my heat. And when we went green, Landon made a dive bomb jump of the century trying to get ahead of us before the front even fired, it looked like. And something happened to his car and he fell back. And Jesse and I had a pretty good race for pretty much the rest of that heat. I ended up finishing second, and it came down to turn 4 of the white flag lap. I decided to try and bomb underneath him and made a run to the flag stand, and it was a drag race. We were real close crossing the checkers there. Alex started in his heat, and it looked pretty good initially, and then he fell back to about 5th place. And they ran some of that heat, and he worked his way up to about 3rd. And it was the white flag lap where it looked like he was catching up to Cordell, and I think Cordell's car was having a problem because they threw the white flag. Joey lost a wheel on the back of his car, had a hub failure, it looked like. Which I thought they should have just left it out, even though there was a loose tire on the track, and just finished that heat. But when they went yellow, Cordell ended up having to pull into the infield, and they restarted, and Alex was in second at that point and ended up finishing that heat race in second. So both of us were in the redraw. After the redraw, Alex ended up starting outside front row, and I started right behind him. And Alex actually led the first lap, just barely, racing against Kevin. I think they raced real good side by side for about 2 laps. And I was hot on Alex's tail pretty much that whole time. He was exiting turn 2 a little bit too high, and I was able to sneak underneath him a few times, then finally got past him when we got caught up to lap traffic, and ended up being a pretty good race. It was another situation where we raced that whole feature until the white flag lap, and then they threw the yellow because of a loose wheel on a car, which everyone avoided. Natalie narrowly avoided that tire and slid her car sideways, but it looked like everything was good after that. It was a good save there. But that's pretty much how we finished. Kevin McCoy got first. I finished second, and Alex finished right behind me. Pretty good race. And this really helped us in the points since we've been kind of all over the place with our finishes this year. We had some mechanical problems, and we flat out missed a race. So we desperately needed these points, and that moved Alex and I up to 6th and 7th in points. It's still a pretty decently close points race at this point, so pretty good finish to that night. I still haven't cleaned my car yet from that race, as you can see. And when the track is real wet, everything, all this dirt gets packed up. I really need to clean this car. It is still caked up, and this stuff becomes concrete the longer you let it dry and set up like this. But I'll get to that later. I have plenty of other things going on right now to deal with. I probably should do it sooner than later because the radiator needs cleaned bad, and that's a real pain to clean when that clay dries up like that. One thing I'll mention while I'm looking at my car right now, that last race I had a problem with a lot of power steering fluid, and we've always had a problem with the transmissions squirting fluid out when you fill them to the appropriate fluid level. And I've remedied both of those situations. Alex and I both run a catch can now on our transmission, which has mud on it. Big surprise. So I have a line that runs down to. Now let me go to the other side. I can see it better. I've got a cap down in there. Get my phone in here. Let's see. There, you can see it there. The BK Racing kit, and there's a metal trans filler cap that has a little 4AN fitting on the top of it, and then I got a braided hose, and it goes to a vented catch can. So the trans no longer pukes fluid out all over the top. And then I was having a problem with the power steering overheating. And my quick and dirty solution to fixing that before that last race was to actually hook up some automatic transmission lines. So the radiator that I have in this car, well, most radiators will have the ports in the sides of them for auto trans fluid to go through. So I took a set of Dorman automatic transmission lines and cut them up and bent them and basically just routed it. So this top line right here goes back to the rack. So this is the fluid return that would have gone to the side of the pump here. And now the lower line, the cooled fluid, loops around here and goes back into the reservoir. So the radiator now cools my power steering fluid, and I'm able to run a decent amount of fluid in there without it puking everywhere. So it's a nice little improvement to the car. Alex's car is already in the trailer, and it's all cleaned up. We don't have much to do to it. I need to clean my car still, and got a donut from Jesse there. We were racing pretty hard. I think that happened in 3 and 4. I snuck underneath him on the bottom side. In my heat race, my right rear hub let go, and it wasn't the hub. So when I finished that race, Jesse had mentioned to me that when we were in the redraw, that hey, your right rear wheel is leaned over real far. I was like, oh, I need to look at that. And then I didn't think about it until about 10 minutes before the feature. And I went and I looked, and sure enough, that wheel was positive cambered out real far. And here's the hub that I run. This is still basically the Caravan hub setup. And I actually have a Campbell hub face on this thing. If anyone remembers those Campbell hubs that like to bend. So I basically have the best of both worlds. I have the Caravan spindle, because I've never had a problem with the Caravan spindles breaking, only the hub faces, with a billet hub face from a Campbell hub on it. So it's a pretty good setup so far. One's on Alex's car, we've never had a problem. And this one is technically fine. What ended up happening was we got the 4 bolts that hold it on. This upper bolt snapped and disappeared. And then this bolt was the only one holding it on the top side, and it bent the ear over on the axle flange. So I actually have a D&D hub on the car right now, which is what I finished the night out on. It still feels real nice and it's tight on there. But that axle flange is a little bit tweaked. So I'm going to have to figure out how to bend that, because that stuff is some pretty tough metal. I didn't heat it up at the track. I just wailed on it with a mallet, and it didn't even flinch. So that is something I am going to have to address on this car. But all in all, pretty good night of racing with that. Need to get that thing cleaned up, investigate that rear axle situation, see if I can't do something with that, or I'll just ignore it. We'll see what happens. In addition to race car stuff, I've been working on a lot of other little personal projects in here lately when it hasn't been 6 million degrees outside. And I've been working on my truck a lot because it's actually piqued my interest lately. And as you can see, we've got Ecotech engine crap here. So I have an engine that I built a long time ago, and had started building a cylinder head, and it's still sitting in the house, and I still haven't finished it yet. This engine's basically ready to rock and roll. I just got to finish the head for it. I have a head in the house that I was building that's shaved 20 thousandths that I was worried about using with these pistons, and now I can't use that head at all because I have a different set of cams that I want to run, and I need an unshaved stock head. So I have two L61 heads here that I gave a quick pressure washing to. One came off an engine that I blew up in the Enduro, and another one was just one of the, oh, they're all buried in tires now. One of the millions of engines that come through this shop that I'm not sure of the history on. Both of these are going to head to the machine shop, and they're going to check them over, make sure they're good, and then we're going to put some effort into one of them, and then I will get it set up on that engine that I built, and hopefully get this thing running pretty soon. It's almost a direct copy of the engine that's in my car there, with the exception of this engine being a newer generation 2.4. I'll show you. This is a LAF block, one of the direct injected versions, and it is a what you call a semi-closed deck block. So there's this little bit of webbing at the top of the cylinder bores. This engine here that I'm building for a friend of ours is an LE5. This is like one of the early 2.4s, and it's still a good block to use, but you can see it doesn't have that extra support. This is just a straight up open deck block. This is the same block, same type of block that I have in this car, which has been just fine so far. This one obviously has big high compression pistons. That's a high compression motor there. And this 2.4 that I'm building out of this block is not going to be high compression, but it's still going to be a pretty nice build. Got a pretty good recipe here. Nice JE pistons for that one. I still have to order a few more parts for that, but good cylinder head. Just another project. So that all is currently on the back burner because we have a little under 2 weeks now until Night of Destruction, and I need to get my old yellow Odyssey that we used last year in the Enduro or in the Soccer Mom Nationals and the Demo Derby, and get it fixed up and running again. And then we just bought another van that we pick up Thursday for Alex to run, the Dodge Caravan. I think it's like a 05, I think. I can't recall. But just another little $500 crap box van. It's actually getting kind of hard to find sub $1,000 cars to do these kinds of demo races with. And that being said, we were looking for cars to use in the clunker race that they're now going to put on Night of Destruction. And Randy wants to do a half car race. And I'm real excited to try and do that. I've never done anything like that before. I have a concept of how to build the car and what I'd like to do with that. But we obviously don't have a car to do that with yet. We've got race cars back there that I want to still save to be race cars. I don't want to chop them into half cars. I have a 2-door 5-speed Cobalt at Alex's parents' house that we could use. That would also feel kind of bad chopping up into a half car, but it's been sitting there so long that I kind of worry about how bad the undercarriage is at this point. And honestly, that car sits out of sight, out of mind. And if I don't do something with it now, it'll probably sit there for another couple of years. So we may drag that thing over here and chop it in half, see if we can't get it running. At least have one entry into the half car race. If we can find more cars, we will get them and chop them in half and prepare them for that, because I really look forward to however that little race will go. A lot of pants in the fire right now. I might try and do a little more work on this engine right now because there's not much else I can do at this exact moment. But in the next update video, I may show the yellow Odyssey that I had. We're going to see if we can't pull the smashed in rear end out of it a little bit and fix the broken suspension and hopefully get some decent tires on it for the night of destruction. That's pretty much it for this little quick update. See you guys in the next video.